देवाय
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 Sing the Jai Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhav Kunj Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava
Kunj Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya
Gopi Jana Vallabha
Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe.
Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari.
Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Ram Vishnu Param Saparajakacarya Shrodha Shatashi Srimad Vijayavangari Shri Raisa Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण को गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanastu Krishne Matirastu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita chapter 6 texts 20 to 25. So 5 verses as usual. Okay, so we can start. Actually these verses, so what happened was in the beginning of 6th chapter, Krishna was generically describing things. Then in the middle somewhere, in the last discussion that we had, Krishna went into the particular aspects of how dhyana yoga should be performed. You know, where one should sit, what one should be meditating on and things like that. Now Krishna goes back into a generic kind of explanation again. So this is a more generic, how generically the whole aspect of Krishna consciousness brings in an eternal connection with our existence. So okay, so we'll start with all these actually 20 to 23 is considered as one set of verses here. So we'll just read all of them. Yatro parame chittam,
Yatro parame chittam,
niruddham yoga sevaya,
Niruddham yoga sevaya,
yatra chaivatmanatmanam,
Yatra chaivatmanatmanam,
Pashyan atmani tushyati,
Pashyan atmani tushyati,
Sukham atyantikam yattad,
Sukham atyantikam yattad,
Buddhigrahyam matindriyam,
Buddhigrahyam matindriyam,
Veti yatra na chaivayam,
Veti yatra na chaivayam,
Sthitash chalati tattvataha,
Sthitash chalati tattvataha,
Yam labdhva chaparam labham,
Yam labdva chaparam labham,
Manyate nadhikam tataha,
Manyate nadhikam tataha,
Yasmin sthito na dukkhena,
Yasmin sthito na dukkhena,
Gurunapi vichalyate,
Gurunapi vichalyate,
Tam vidya dukkha samyoga,
Tam vidya dukkha samyoga,
Viyogam yoga samyitam.
Viyogam yoga sangyutam.
Okay, so word by word you say, Yatra,
Yatra,
in that state of affairs where,
In that state of
affairs where
Uparamate,
Uparamate
cease, because feels transcendental happiness, because one feels transcendental happiness. Chittam,
Chittam,
mental activities.
mental activities.
Niruddham,
Niruddham,
being restrained from matter.
being restrained from matter.
Yoga sevaya,
Yoga sevaya,
by performance of yoga.
by performance of yoga.
Yatra,
Yatra,
in which.
In which
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Eva,
Eva,
certainly.
certainly.
Atmana,
Atmana,
by the pure mind.
by the pure mind.
Atmanam,
Atmanam,
the self.
the
The
self.
self.
Pashyan,
Pashyan,
realizing the position of.
realizing the position of.
Atmani,
Atmani,
in the self.
in the self.
Tushyati,
Tushyati,
one becomes satisfied.
one becomes satisfied.
Sukham,
Sukham,
happiness.
happiness.
Atyantikam,
Atyantikam,
supreme.
supreme.
Yat,
Yat,
which.
which.
Tat,
Tat,
that.
that.
Buddhi,
Buddhi,
by intelligence.
by intelligence,
Grahyam,
grahyam,
accessible.
accessible,
Atindriyam,
atindriyam,
transcendental.
transcendental,
Veti,
veti,
one knows.
one knows,
Yatra,
yatra,
wherein.
wherein,
Na,
na,
never.
never,
Cha,
cha,
also.
also,
Eva,
eva,
certainly.
certainly,
Ayam,
I am,
he.
he,
Stitaha,
stitaha,
situated.
situated,
Chalati,
chalati,
moves.
moves,
Tattvataha,
tattvataha,
from the truth.
from the truth.
So this was this was the second verse, and the third verse is this one. Yam,
Yam,
that which.
that which,
Labdva,
labdva,
by attainment.
by attainment,
Cha,
cha,
also.
also,
Aparam,
aparam,
any other.
any other,
Labham,
labham,
gain.
gain,
Manyate,
manyate,
considers.
considers,
Na,
na,
never.
never,
Adhikam,
adhikam,
more.
more,
Tataha,
tataha,
then that.
than that,
Yasmin,
yasmin,
in which.
in which,
Stitaha,
stitaha,
being situated.
being situated,
Na,
na,
never.
never,
Dukkhena,
dukkhena,
by miseries.
by miseries,
Guruna api,
guruna api,
even though very difficult.
even though very difficult,
Vichalyate,
vichalyate,
becomes shaken.
becomes shaken.
So this was the verse 22, and then the 23 is a very small one, just one line I think. Tam,
Tam,
that.
that,
Vidyat,
vidya,
you must know.
you must know,
Dukkha samyoga,
dukkha samyoga,
of the miseries of material contact.
of the miseries of material contact,
Viyogam,
viyogam,
extermination.
extermination,
Yoga samyitam,
yoga samyitam,
called trance in yoga.
called trance in yoga.
Okay, so basically, yeah, so there are three. So we have got 20, 21, 22 and 23, right? So there are 4 verses here. Is it 4? Yeah, 20, 21, 22, 23. 20, 21, 22. 23 is a very small verse. But in terms of the different... okay, so the first verse is Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatman atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. Right? So... okay, so I think so maybe we can just read this. So I think it is until the self, right? So we'll just read that. In the stage of perfection,
In the stage of perfection,
called trance
called trance,
or samadhi,
or samadhi,
one's mind is completely restrained
one's mind is completely restrained
from material mental activities
from material mental activities
by practice of yoga.
by practice of yoga.
This perfection
This perfection
is characterized
is characterized
by one's ability
by one's ability
to see the self
to see the self
by the pure mind
by the pure mind
and to relish and rejoice in the self.
and to relish and rejoice in the self.
Okay, so that is what is the verse 20. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. So uparamate chittam. So uparamate means when the mind chitta, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. The definition of yoga given by Patanjali is that yoga is actually because there is turbulence that happens in the mind. So the mind is constantly looking after objects. It wants, because the mind by nature, so basically what is happening is, when the mind is going after the sense objects or thinking about material enjoyment, it is in a material state of existence. But when the mind is within the self and totally satisfied, does not want anything, that is spiritual state. So what here Krishna is saying is yatra uparamate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatman atmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. The last line of the verse, pashyan atmani tushyati. Pashyan means by seeing, atmani is our own self, tushyati means totally satisfied. So the example that can be given is when we are at our home, we feel totally satisfied, right? But sometimes we have to go out. Sometimes we have to go out for some visit or something. We go for, say, sightseeing or some kind of visit. We go out and then we have some good time there. But then after some time, we feel like we need to get back home. right? It is a natural kind of feeling. So after all that, we come back home. What is the feeling? The feeling is a very satisfactory feeling, right? We feel that okay, and now I'm back and everything is fine. So exactly this is the situation of the mind. So the home of mind is in the self. That is a home. So the mind, when it is within the self, when we see, and what do we mean by self? Self is our original consciousness. So the body by itself is not conscious. It is the presence. There is a presence of. That's why Krishna says, "Dehi nosmin yatha dehe." There is a proprietor of the body within the body. Therefore, there is kaumaram, yavanam, jara. There is childhood, youth, and old age. Tatha dehantaram prapti. Similarly, one has to give up the body. Dhiras tatrina muhyati. Krishna says, a sober person does not get bewildered by these changes. So, what is happening is when we are getting a particular type of body, immediately there is identification with the body, and we start thinking that I am this particular person, my parents are this, I'm from this particular country, all that thing comes up. But our original existence is totally independent of all these things. That is our original nature. So if somehow or other that uparamate chittam, what is mentioned here, the mind, when it pashyan atmani tushyati, when the mind goes back, so basically, if we want to see something in the mirror, and if the mirror is totally dusty, we will not be able to see ourselves. We have to clean the mirror. Then when we go in front of the mirror, we'll see ourselves. So what happens is, when the mind is in a turbulent state, we are never able to see ourselves. Who are we? We are aham brahmasmi. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that when we understand our nature as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, we are totally prasannatma. Prasannatma means totally in a blissful state of existence. In that blissful state, there is na shochati na kankshati. Kankshati is hankering, and shochati is lamentation. So when I identify myself with a particular type of body and a particular type of mind, this particular body and mind has got lots and lots of desires. That's why I got this body in the first place. Because in the subtle form, the mind, intelligence, and false ego, I had lots and lots of material desires. And if I want to satisfy my material desires, I need to have a material body. I cannot satisfy material desires in spiritual body. In spiritual body, I will satisfy my spiritual desires. The spiritual desire is unlimited. Just like the spirit is unlimited, spiritual desires are unlimited. Similarly, material desires are also unlimited. But if the unlimited material desires are not conquered through the possession of spiritual desires, one will somehow or other keep getting material body. So the reason why we have a particular type of body is because we have been accustomed to having material desires of that particular type of body. So somehow or other, from our perspective, we are trying to discuss Bhagavad-Gita. That means somehow or other we have some spiritual inclination within us. We are not totally addicted to material sense enjoyment. If someone is totally addicted to material sense enjoyment, they will never involve in these discussions. That is why Krishna says, Bhoga Ishwarya Prasakta Nam Taya Apaharata Chetasam. Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Samadho Na Vidiyate. We have discussed this many times. This Vyavasayatmika Buddhi is very important. Vyavasayatmika means one-pointed concentration. This one-pointed concentration happens if we have interest in something. If you look at any material activity, for example, why do we engage in a particular activity? Because we have some interest in that activity. That's why we engage in that activity. So, what happens is, if we are accustomed to only understanding that the happiness can be attained only through the sense perception, then we will think that that is the only way of being happy. But somehow or other, if we can try and understand, go inside and try and know who we really are, then that is what is mentioned here. Yatra chaivatman atmanam. So the third line in this verse, Yatra chaiva atmana atmanam. So atmana, the atmana and atmanam, there are two words used, and atma can refer to different things at different points of time. Atma can refer to body, atma can refer to mind, atma can sometimes also refer to intelligence, atma can sometimes refer to the false ego, and atma actually refers to our eternal position as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So here, Atman Atmanam, when it is mentioned here, Yatra Chaiva Atman Atmanam, what it is mentioning is that the first Atma is talking about the mind, and the second Atma is talking about our eternal self. So when the mind gets established in the eternal self, then one knows that all this is just an external play that is happening. Just like if someone is an actor, when they are doing a serial or a film, they know that they are playing this character. And once their acting is over, they come back to their original, whoever personality they are. Exactly the same thing. So our original constitutional position is that we are eternally linked to Krishna. And at no point in time that link has been disconnected. No point in time, literally. It is the thinking that I am separate from Krishna is an illusion. It is, and that illusion happens because I think that this is the only existence that I have. This body is the only existence. So people say that you've got only one life, enjoy as much as you can. Unfortunately that becomes the kind of situation, and then the sense gratification becomes the only way of satisfying oneself. But what happens with the sense gratification? It is not. We have discussed this particular verse also many times. It says there is dukkha yone yavate. Yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yone yavate. Adyantavanta konteya nateshu ramate buddha. So whatever happiness that we get through sense gratification, it has got a beginning and an end. It cannot last. It cannot be everlasting. But the happiness that is there within, as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, it is totally independent. It is not dependent on anything. So that is what we'll go to the next verse now, right? In the next verse, Krishna is actually mentioning that Sukham Atyantikam Yattad Buddhi Grahyam Atindriyam Veti Yatrana Chaivayam Stitash Chalati Tatvata. So now Krishna is talking about, so what happens when one's mind gets established in oneself? What happens? Sukham Atyantikam Yattad Buddhi Grahyam Atindriyam. That's what happens. One gets a type of happiness which is totally independent of any kind of sense gratificatory happiness. Totally independent. That is what is Sukham Atyantikam Yattad. And how is it attained? Buddhi Grahyam Atindriyam. It is attained through purified intelligence. And it is Atindriyam. Atindriyam means it surpasses all the happiness that we get through the senses. It transcends all sensory type of happiness. The problem in this conditioned state of existence is that we think that the happiness can only be attained through senses. We cannot attain happiness in any other way. But the real happiness is Atindriyam. That is what is Ramante Yogina Anante. It is mentioned in the scriptures that someone who is totally connected with Krishna, they get a bliss that has got no end. There's no end. Like in the material sense, a so-called happiness is coming and going, and then all the happiness is dependent on this body, which is by itself temporary. So the whole foundation of happiness is itself not proper, because it's based on temporary body, and this body at any point of time can go out of existence. It is not permanent. It is temporary. So This is what is atindriyam. And then Krishna says in the next two verses, Veti yatrana chaivayam sthitash chalati tattvata. This sthitash chalati tattvata means tattvata. Tattvata means the truth. When one is janma karmam cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvata. Krishna mentions. Tattvata means when one is experientially situated in that particular situation. So, for example, we can try and understand it theoretically that I am eternal. I am eternal and I am eternally part and parcel of Krishna. That is one way of understanding it. The second way of understanding is tattvata, in truth. What does it mean in truth? We try and start experimenting. We try to find time to get absorbed. Say, for example, in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And if we keep absorbing ourselves, the mind and the sense of hearing and the sense of tongue and the sense of touch, if you're using the Japamala, so how many senses are getting engaged? We've got the sense of ear, the sense of tongue, the sense of touch. It's only the sense of smell is not getting engaged, but if there is some tulsi or something there, smell is also getting engaged. So, and if the eyes are the thing about the eyes is if someone is closing the eyes and chanting, but in the mind's eye, one can remember the Lord. Or if we look at the wonderful form of the Lord. So all the senses are getting engaged in the service of the master of senses. That is what Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevana Bhakti Ruchyate. Narad Muni gives a definition. What is Bhakti? Bhakti, it starts from Sarva Upadhi Vinirmuktam. Upadhi means designation. So, as long as I say that I am this, I am that, like I am an Indian or I am from this place, I am that, as long as we identify with the body, we are not establishing connection with the Lord. So, the first thing is taking off all the designations. So, when we take off all the designations, what remains is that we are an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. That's the only designation that remains. Sarvopati Vinirmuktam, we become pure. Then Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam. So then the senses, with the purified senses, when we engage in the service of the master of the senses, that is bhakti. But initially what happens is in the conditioned state of existence, the senses are not purified. So when we are, so this is, it's like a catch-22 situation. So what is a catch-22 situation? If someone wants to get a job, they should have an experience. But to have experience, they should actually get the job first. So it's called catch-22 situation. But somehow or other, if someone gets a break and then they start getting experience and then they continue in the job. So this is like when we start engaging the senses initially are not purified because we have lots and lots of material desires. When we have material desires, it's not a purified condition. But somehow or other, if we have this inclination to engage in hearing about Krishna and chanting Krishna's names, when we focus the senses like that, this is what Hridayantastohi abhadrani vidhunoti. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shranvatam Swakathak Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. So when we are hearing about Krishna, that activity by itself is very pious. The Shravanam and Kirtanam, talking, hearing and talking about Krishna. Hridayantastohi abhadrani vidhunoti. What it is mentioned is, whatever abhadra means something that is inauspicious. So whatever things that are inauspicious within the heart, everything gets cleansed. Vidhunoti. Suhrit satam. So then one becomes purified. So the process of, so this is what is the bhakti. Bhakti is, the definition of bhakti, another definition is para isha anubhava. So bhakti means experiencing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So three things happen simultaneously. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. What happens is bhakti, para isha anubhava, viraktir anyatra syat, esha trisha ekakala. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that loving devotional service to Krishna, experience of Krishna, and natural renunciation of everything that is not directly related with Krishna. All the three happen simultaneously at the same time. The example given is prapadya manasya yad ashnutasya tushti pushti kshudapaya nugasham. Just like when we have food, we have tushti, pushti, and kshudapaya. Tushti is satisfaction, pushti is nourishment, kshudapaya is hunger is getting satisfied. So all these things, when we have food, automatically all these things happen simultaneously. Exactly the same way, bhakti, experience of Krishna, and automatic renunciation of everything that is not directly related to Krishna happens at the same time. So this is what is tattvata. We were trying to understand tattvata is when we start experimenting this, when we start somehow or other engaging in this activity of bhakti, slowly it comes to a position where experientially we are situated in that place, and then we know that there is some happiness which is totally independent of the happiness coming from the senses. Then the third verse, the 20, 21, 22. This is the 22. Here Krishna says yam labdva. Slowly Krishna is going into the different aspects. So once we are situated in that eternal situation, then yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. So once we, even for a moment, if we get into that state of knowing our eternal nature, we will understand that there is no other greater gain one can gain. That is what Krishna is saying. Once one attains that eternal existence, one knows that there is no other gain superior to it. Yam labdha chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata. Yasmin sthito na dukhena guru napi vichalyate. So, and once when one is situated in that state, greatest calamities might come, but one does not get affected internally. Because one knows that. Why one does not get affected internally? Because it is not, never anything affects us internally. As an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, never, nothing affects us. It is only that the external situation that gets affected, that gets turbulent. So this identification, this thinking that I am this janasya mohoyam aham mameti. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. The whole thing starts because yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke swadik kalatradishu bhaumya jadi. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. If I think through my intelligence that I am this bag made up of bile, mucus and air, that this body is me. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke swadik kalatradishu bhaumya jadi. Through my intelligence I am thinking that all this is mine. This body is mine. This family is mine. The land in which I am born is worshipable. Bhaumya jadi. I go to the places of pilgrimage to take bath in the holy rivers, but I do not associate with the saintly people there. Try and get knowledge from them. So the Srimad Bhagavatam says that sa eva gokhara. Unfortunately, such a person, even though in the human form of life, is unfortunately like a cow or a donkey. It's Shastra is very strong in that regard. Because why? Because the thing that is distinguishing a human being from animals is that intelligence, right? An evolved intelligence. And unfortunately, what is happening is we are using our evolved intelligence to do the ahara, nidra, bhaya and maithuna, eating, sleeping, mating and defending in an extremely luxurious way. But finally, what is being done is the same thing that animals are doing. So what is it that is distinguishing us? The distinguishing thing is, if we go internally and try and understand our eternal nature, then we are using this human form of life in the best possible way. So the scriptures is not saying that we should not advance scientifically. We should not become whatever we are now. It's not saying that. What it is saying is, while continuously trying to evolve ourselves externally, we should try and go internally and try and understand our eternal nature as well. So simultaneously developing externally and internally. And when that happens, then one is in a very, in a situation which is full situation, right? It's a total, otherwise what is happening is, one is externally trying to satisfy the senses, but it is never going to get satisfied. This is what happens, right? If you see people who have got lots and lots of money, everything they have, but somehow they are not satisfied. It's quite interesting actually. Even Vedavyasa was the compiler of the Vedas, Upanishads and everything. And then he was also feeling Kim va bhagavata dharma na prayana nirupita priya paramahansanam ta eva hi achyuta priya. So what happens is, even he was feeling unsatisfied. After he did all the Vedas, Upanishads, everything. Then through Narada Muni, he gets the realization that he should be creating Srimad Bhagavatam. So that finally gives him total satisfaction. Because he is describing the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. That is what Atma Ramasya Munaya Nigranthapi Urukrame Kurvanti Ahetukim Bhaktim Itham Bhuta Guno Hari. It is mentioned in the scriptures that, see, so there are different stages, right? One stage is I'm totally attached to my body and sense gratification. That is a very basic stage, unfortunate stage. The next stage is I'm trying to get to a position where I understand that I am an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. That is the second stage. The third stage is I actually attain that situation where I know that I am eternal. And then the fourth stage is one gets pure devotional service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. So when one is in that Brahma Bhuta stage, is one knows that one is eternal. And in that stage, there is no desiring and there is no lamentation. And there is no shoka. Shoka, yeah. Kankshati is desiring and shoka is lamentation. So then one becomes sama sarveshu bhuteshu. What happens is one sees everyone as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. One does not see the external differences. Then mad bhaktim labhate para. Krishna says one gets a supreme transcendental loving devotional service to me. So that fourth state is a state which happens after one is actually knowing that one is an eternal person, an eternal part and parcel. And that's why this pastimes of the Supreme, this is why this Janma Karmam Chame Divyam Evam Nivavati Tatvata, that knowing that Krishna's birth and Krishna's activities are divine. In Tattvata, Tattvata means, again, experientially. It's not that just theoretically I'm trying to know it. Tyaktva deham punarjanmam naiti. Krishna says that after giving up this body, one does not get another material body. Then what happens to such a person? Mam eti so Arjuna. Krishna says that such a person comes back to me. So this is what is, so when one is in that situation, then one knows that this is all passing things. If there is an extreme happy sense gratificatory thing, it is not going to last forever. If there is an extreme difficult thing, that also is not going to last forever. So one gets totally situated in that experiential level. So that is what is the third verse. And in the fourth verse, Tad Vidya Dukkha Samyoga Viyogam Yoga Samnitam. So there, so that's what, if we look at the last line, being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even this indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Now that is what is meant by Tam Vidya Dukkha Samyoga Viyogam Yoga Samnitam. So the whole thing here is somehow or other Yena Tena Prakarena Mana Krishna Niveshe. Some way or the other focus the mind on Krishna. So when we focus the mind on Krishna, then we come to a position of understanding that the real pleasure lies in remembering the Lord. Nothing else, everything else is like something transitory. It is not everlasting. The everlasting pleasure is when the mind naturally goes towards the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is the three verses, and then we go to the next verse, which is verse 24. And this verse, again, it is in a little bit of a different. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 lines in this verse. Generally, we have 4 lines. So this is another different type of verse. Okay, so we'll read this. Sanishchayena yuktavyo
Sanishchayena yuktavyo
yoga nirvinna chetasa
Sankalpa
prabhavam kamams
Sankalpa prabhavam kamams
त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् अशेषतः
त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् शेषतः
मनसेवेन्द्रियग्रामं
मनसैवेन्द्रियग्रामं
विनियम्य समन्ततः.
विनियम्य समन्ततः.
So word by word here, saha,
सः
that, निश्चयेन,
निश्चयेन
with firm determination,
with firm determination
yoktavya,
yoktavya
must be practiced,
must be practiced.
yoga, yoga system,
Yoga system
anirvinna chetasa,
Anirvinna chetasa
without deviation,
without deviation,
sankalpa,
Sankalpa
mental speculations,
mental speculations
prabhavan, born of,
born of
kaman, material desires,
material desires
tyaktva,
Yaktva
giving up,
giving up
sarvan,
Sarvan
all, asheshataha,
Asheshataha
completely, manasa,
Manasa
by the mind,
by the mind
eva,
Eva
certainly, indriya gramam,
Indriyagramam
the full set of senses,
the full set of senses
viniyamya,
Viniyamya
regulating, samantataha,
Samantataha
from all sides.
from all sides.
So the translation is one should engage oneself
One should engage oneself
in the practice of yoga
in the practice of yoga
with determination and faith
with determination and faith
and not be deviated from the path.
and not be deviated from the path.
One should abandon
One should abandon
without exception
without exception
all material desires
all material desires
born of mental speculation
born of mental speculation
and thus control all the senses
and thus control all the senses
on all sides
on all sides
by the mind.
by the mind.
Okay, so here, so Krishna was talking about the mind getting situated in the self, and now he is talking about the determination that one should have. So, kshurasya dhara durgama patithastat kavayo vidanti. It is mentioned in the scriptures that this path of spiritual journey, it is a very difficult path in a sense. Why it is a difficult path? Because at every moment, one is, this is like, the situation is like, this whole world is like a material world, right? It is made up of matter. But actually, who are we? We are not matter. We are spirit. And it's a very interesting combination that we are, right? As a living entity, we have got the internal energy of the Lord, Antaranga Shakti. We also have the external energy of the Lord, Bahiranga Shakti. So the external energy, as we have discussed many times, it is earth, water, fire, air, and space. So the grossness and subtlety keeps on increasing. Earth is very strong, right? It's solid. Then when we say water, it is solid, but it's not fully solid. And then we go to fire. Fire cannot be touched, but fire is seen as well. Then we go to air. Air cannot be seen. But we know that air is there, we are breathing. Then we have space, everything is existing within the space. Then after that we have mind. The mind is even subtler than space. Because Vayo Rathapi Manaso Muni Pungavana. It is mentioned in the scriptures that I think of someone and I am actually with that person immediately. Person can be anywhere. A person unfortunately could have passed away as well. The body has passed away, but our memory of the person is still there. And it's through the mind we are able to establish the connection. So that's the power of mind, right? It is very powerful. So it's very subtle. Then we have intelligence. Intelligence is even subtler than mind. And intelligence, because intelligence can direct the mind, but sometimes mind directs intelligence. Yes. It depends on how a person is. This is what, the example that is given of the chariot, right? We as an eternal part and parcel are the passenger in the chariot. A chariot is the body. And the charioteer is the intelligence. The connection, the reins to the horses is the mind. And the horses are the five senses. The five horses are the five senses. So this is the example that Upanishad gives. So basically, the passenger should tell to the charioteer that I want to go to this place, and then that's how normally it should happen. But if the passenger doesn't know where to go, what is going to happen? This is an unfortunate situation in our conditional existence, right? we don't know what is the goal of human form of life. Unfortunately, no one knows. So, nate vidu swartha gatim he Vishnu, durashaye bhairarthamanina. So, because one does not know that the goal of life is this, one is just aimlessly going, trying to get happiness here, happiness there, happiness here. Never, it is never fulfilling us. So this is, that is why what is happening is we are a combination of someone who is eternally linked to Krishna, and then all these external things that is existing. So what we have to do is the external thing. For example, the mind. The mind has to. Mind is a really complex kind of thing that we have, right? A complex instrument, we can say. Actually, Arjuna will say it as well later. He says that to control the mind is even difficult than controlling the wind. Then Krishna says, yes, undoubtedly you are right, Arjuna. But through practice and through renunciation, it can be controlled. Abhyasena to kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. This is what Krishna is mentioning in this verse as well, right? He's talking about always knowing what is the goal. when we are generally they talk about my why kind of thing. They talk about if someone likes something and they start doing that activity, they do it for a number of years, and then suddenly they start losing interest in that activity. So people then say that try and understand your why. Why did you begin it in the first place? Go back to that, my why question. And then immediately the thing that actually made you start doing that activity, you will get to that state. And you'll become really, again, understanding why you're doing this. Yes. So this is the important thing. Why, for example, we're engaging in this discussion of Bhagavad-Gita. What is the reason? Why we should do this? Because this is the goal of human form of life. This is like, if the people who understand this, they are in a position and in a blissful state of existence, which is accessible by everyone, but somehow not everyone goes for this. This is what Krishna says. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhayet. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, billions of people are there. Very few try to attain perfection. Yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvata. Even among the people who try to attain perfection, very few know me as I am. Name vidu suragana prabhavana mahashaya aham adirhi devanam maharshinam sarvasha. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita, even the great demigods and the great sages do not know me. Why? Because I am their origin. So there is an interesting thing, Krishna has got these three Purusha incarnations. There is a Karanodakshayi Vishnu, then there is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and then there is Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Three different Purusha incarnations. Karanodakshayi Vishnu he is breathing, and when he is breathing, all the universes are coming out. When he is exhaling, when he is inhaling, all the universes are going in. And then there is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. When the universes are getting formed, he is kind of controlling the universes, and from him the Brahma is coming. And then this Brahma comes in from the navel of Lord Vishnu on the lotus, and he is there on the lotus. He does not understand how he came. And then he does tapa. He does a lot of tapa, and then he understands. And then he knows what is the reason of his existence. He has to do the creation. So this is the thing, so even the Lord is the cause of all causes. Sarva karana karana. So it is, but what Krishna says is, Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasha tasyaham sulabha partha. Even though he is very difficult to know, but if someone is continuously trying to remember him, Ananya cheta, through the mind, satatam, constantly yo, mam smarati, remembering me, nityasha, again constantly, Krishna says, tasyaham sulabha partha. To him I am easily available. Why? Because nitya yuktasya yogina. Yes. Because person is determined to remember me at all times. So, ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sateva bhajamyam. Krishna says, whatever way someone approaches me, I am also reciprocating to them in the same way. So, someone wants to forget the Lord, he gives all the opportunities to forget him. So, and if someone wants to remember the Lord, one can remember the Lord in all circumstances. So this particular thing, this particular verse here, this is Sankalpa Prabhavan Kamams Tyaktva Sarvan Asheshata Manasai Vendriya Gramam Viniyamya Samantata. So the mind and the senses are concentrating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So when the mind is concentrating there, this is, what is it called? Param Drishtva Nivartate. Krishna mentions, when we get a higher taste, automatically the lower taste is given up. So the example that is given is, for example, a child is doing mischievous activities. How can the parents control the child in a good way? Not by scolding, involving them in an activity which will be beneficial for them and which they like. So when they involve in that higher taste activity, automatically they'll give up the mischievous activities. Exactly the same thing, when somehow or other the mind can get attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord, automatically the material attractions go away. So this is Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chaya Dahetukam. The bhakti, sometimes what happens is people who are in that impersonal, I was talking about the third state. The first state is totally conditioned. The second state is trying to go to eternal. The third state is actually reaching eternal. When one reaches the eternal stage, somehow one might actually think that, this is the only state. But actually the fourth state is where one understands the divinity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is what is happening in this particular verse. And then we go to the last verse. Shanai Shaner Uparamed
Shanai Shaner Uparamed
Buddhya Dhriti Grahitaya
Buddhya Dhriti Grahitaya
Atma Samstham Manakritva
Atma Samstam Manam Krutva
Na Kinchid Api Chintayet.
Na Kinchit Api Chintayet.
So the word by word will say Shanai,
Shanai
gradually,
Gradually.
Shanai,
Shanai.
step by step,
Step by step.
Uparamed,
Uparamed.
one should hold back,
One should hold back.
Buddhya,
Buddhya.
by intelligence,
By intelligence.
Dhriti Grahitaya,
Dhriti Grahitaya.
carried by conviction,
Carried by conviction.
Atma Samstham,
Atma Samstam.
placed in transcendence,
Placed in transcendence.
Manaha,
Manaha.
mind,
Mind.
Kritva,
Krutva.
making,
Making.
na,
Na.
not,
Not.
kinchit,
Kinchit.
anything else,
Anything else.
api,
Api.
even,
Even.
chintayet,
Chintayet.
should think of.
Should think of.
So the translation is gradually,
Gradually.
step by step,
Step by step.
one should become situated
One should become situated
in trance
in trance
by means of
by means of
intelligence
intelligence
sustained by full conviction,
sustained by full conviction,
and thus the mind
and thus the mind
should be fixed on the self alone
should be fixed on the self alone
and should think of nothing else.
and should think of nothing else.
So, yeah, so this is a very high kind of situation. So here Krishna is, but this is a situation everyone can reach because that is our natural state. So what Krishna is saying is that there is this impersonalist way of understanding this. So the impersonalist way is whenever any thought is coming, the first question to ask is to whom this thought is coming. What will we say? To me. The second question is, who am I? When we ask the question, who am I? Then we should not, if someone is in a conditioned state of existence, when you ask, who am I? They will say, my name is this. I am from this place. But all that is not me. It is something that is a kind of subjective analysis of me. So the question, who am I, is a very important question. Kastvam koham kutayata. When we actually get to the root of the question of who am I, we will get established in the self. Because the final answer of who am I is, I am the knower. I am not the known. Everything else is known. The body is known, the mind is known, the intelligence is known, the world is known, everything is known. But we are not any of the things that is known. we are the knowers. So the knower is the subject, and everything else is an object. So this is the way of trying to get back to the self, because as I said, the thing about the mind is that it does not want to sit within the self. The mind wants to keep roaming around everywhere. It's like sometimes I give the example of a monkey. It's the thing about monkey is it wants to just keep, jumping from one place to another, doing lots of mischief. But somehow or other, if the mind is, and it's quite kind of interesting, like Hanumanji, even though he is in the yoni of the monkey, but he shows how when the mind is fixed on Sri Ram, one can become, the most powerful person in the world, literally. But Hanumanji was not after power, right? The only thing that he wanted to do was serve Sri Ram, nothing else. Just constantly chant the name of Ram and I want to serve Ram. But the byproduct of that was he is the most powerful, and all his power is being used in the service of Sri Ram and his devotees. So this is what is our when the mind can focus on these attributes of the Lord, the Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashasa Shriya Jnana Vairagya Sanniti Bhaga iti Gana. It is mentioned by Parashara Muni. Parashara Muni gives a definition of who is Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagwan means he has got full riches, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya, Viryasya, totally powerful, strength, total strength, Yasha, totally famous, no one more famous than the Lord, Shriya, most beautiful. Krishna is a Yam Shyama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam, Jnana and Vairagya, knowledge and renunciation. He has got all this thing, but at the same time he has renunciation as well. He is not attached to anything. He has got everything, but he is not attached to anything. So this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we can focus, the mind can focus on these attributes of the Lord and know that Bhoktaram Yajyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, that the Lord is the actual enjoyer of all the sacrifices and penances. He is the actual proprietor of everything. And he is the best friend of everyone. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. When one knows these three things, Gyatva Mam Shanti Mruchati. Krishna says one attains peace. And peace is a precursor for eternal happiness. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shanti ashantasya kutah sukham. Krishna says that if someone is not peaceful, how can one be happy? But unfortunately, the situation that is created in this current world is that the disturbing situation seems to be enjoyable for us. Why? Because the mind wants to be turbulent. But actually, the real thing is that when there is, and therefore sometimes people, for example, they go for this retreats and all, right? They go for retreats. Why do they go for retreats? Because in the daily life, there is a lot of disturbances and all. They go to retreat, spend a weekend in the retreat, but can it be like a retreat for the whole life? No. One will not like it. But if someone is in a very peaceful state of existence and knows that the real happiness lies in peace, their life will be like a retreat regardless of where they are situated. Because their mind is placed at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is like the best retreat that one can ever have. So that is So these are very, very important verses, especially the 21 and 22. That sukham atyantikam yatad and yam labdhva chaparam labham. If we can somehow go into the depths of these verses, then we get that conviction. So that is what, in this verse, it is Krishna is talking about conviction. In verse 5, in this verse, means that intelligence is sustained by full conviction. How does the conviction come? The conviction comes when we get some kind of experience. Before that, the conviction will not come. Like, for example, we are trying to engage in this activity, and when we are engaging in this activity, somehow or other, if we get some taste for this activity, when the taste comes, then there is conviction. Ruchi. There is ruchi, then there is asakti. Ruchi means taste. When there is taste, then one gets attachment. So there are these 9 stages of devotional service, it is called. It starts with Shraddha, faith. Then Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya, association of devotees, engaging in devotional service, Nishtha. There is the fourth is actually Anartha Nivritti. Anartha Nivritti means when we start engaging in devotional service in association of devotees, whatever is not conducive for our eternal blissful existence slowly starts going away. Anartha Nivritti. Then one gets very strongly established, Nishtha. Then when there is Nishtha, there is Ruchi. Ruchi is taste. Then there is Asakti. Asakti is attachment. Then there is Bhava, and then there is Prema. Prema is the last, the ninth state. Prema means the mind automatically goes to the lotus feet of the Lord. It is not, one does not have to force it. In the beginning, this is the thing, because of the conditioned state of existence, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of someone suffering from jaundice. He says that if someone is suffering from jaundice, if they take sugar, it will taste bitter to them. Because of their diseased condition, it will taste bitter. But one of the solutions for this is keep taking the sugar. And then finally, they will get to understand that sugar is actually sweet. It's not bitter. Exactly the same situation, unfortunately, in our conditioned state of existence, there is lots of covering that we have. So because we have been taking birth after birth after birth, our thinking is that this body is the only state of existence. There is nothing else other than that. So then what happens is, that is a covering. So when we are engaging in this devotional service, slowly that cleansing is taking place. And then when cleansing takes place, finally, we start understanding that there is a happiness which, this is what, Sukham Atyantikam Yatad Buddhigrahya Matindriya. There is a happiness which transcends all sense gratificatory happinesses. And this happiness is independent of sense gratification. Because the thing about sense gratification is, it might feel very good at that particular moment, but it doesn't last. The worst example of this is like someone, getting indulged in intoxication or something. Someone is a drunkard, or someone has unfortunately get addicted to a drug or something, right? The high that they get would be an extreme high. But the problem that it gives is extremely huge problem that it gives. So that is a very worse example that we are going for. But our situation in this conditioned existence is quite similar. Even though it's not worse, like it is like somehow or other I'm thinking that this is the only existence and this is the only way of getting happiness. But if somehow or other, if we continue to engage in this activity, we will get to a place where we will become convinced that this happiness can be persisted across the whole life, literally. Like, it's not that this is only happening when we are discussing Bhagavad-Gita. It is a natural state. It's just that somehow or other, because we identify ourselves with the body, we start thinking that this is that the bodily happiness is the only happiness. So I think I'll just conclude this by saying that let's offer our prayers at the lotus feet of Krishna, that we can somehow or other always remember his lotus feet, whatever be the circumstance. So with that, I would like to thank you all very much for listening. We can, if there's comments or discussions, we can have that. These are really interesting verses actually. This, especially the 22. Yeah, which one is? As I said, this 20, 21 and 22. 6, 21 and 22. They are really, because that's helping us to get convinced that there is a happiness that is independent of sense gratification happiness. Then we are kind of established in our original position as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. Any comments or questions?
So in this regard, we need to make our intelligence more powerful
Yeah.
to understand that sense gratification is not the only happiness.
Yes. That is what Krishna says. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam prayanti te. So tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam yena mam prayanti te. So those who are constantly trying to develop the love for me, tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna says, I give them the intelligence. So that exactly, yeah. So it's interesting that mind intelligence are kind of intertwined with each other, in a way, because but somehow sometimes the mind has got an upper hand. In most of the cases, mind has the upper hand, because mind just, the nature of mind. What does mind do actually? Mind makes us absorb ourselves in something. Intelligence doesn't do that. Intelligence is saying this is good, this is bad. It is discrimination. Intelligence is discriminating things, but mind is basically getting us absorbed in some things. So that's why, even though intelligence should have an upper hand, it always does not have an upper hand. That's why Krishna says man mana bhava. He says that give your mind to me. So somehow or other, if we can develop that attachment to Krishna, that's why Krishna does all his pastimes. The whole pastime of, for example, this Makhan Chor, he's doing all that different pastimes so that the mind can get absorbed in his pastimes. And when the mind is absorbed, one is, directly in touch with the Lord. There is no, this is the wonderful nature of the mind, right? Mind is a magic, literally. That instrument that we have as mind is magic. Because that's why Krishna, it is mentioned in the scriptures that mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshaye bandhaya vishaya sangha mokshaya nirvishaya mana. It says that, the scripture says that mind itself is a cause of our bondage and mind itself is a cause of our liberation. When the mind is attached to the sense objects, it is in a state of bondage. When the mind is detached from the sense objects, it is in a state of liberation. Bandhaya vishaya sangha mokshaya nirvishaya mana. Mind is not attached to any sense object. Sometimes people, the people who do not understand the divinity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead might sometimes say that when the mind is attached to the Lord, it is also like an attachment to a sense object. But unfortunately, they do not know. This is Ye Anya Aravindaksha Vimukta Maninas. Very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vedavyas says that someone thinks that I am liberated without noticing the lotus-eyed Lord. Arvindaksha. Vimukta Maninas. Thinking that I am liberated. Tvai asta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya. Vedavyas is saying that unfortunately their intelligence is not fully purified. And then he says, Aruya krichena param padam tata patanti ada. He says that they might attain the param padam through lots and lots of austerities. But unfortunately they fall down. Patanti ada. Why? Anadrita yushmad angraya. Because they did not give respect to the lotus feet of the Lord. And not giving respect to the lotus feet of the Lord means not recognizing his personality. Thinking that the personality of the Lord is also based on Maya. That's why sometimes it is called Mayavada philosophy. It is based on Maya, but it's Yoga Maya. That is the difference. So there is Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Yoga Maya is a potency in which all the internal pastimes of the Lord takes place. It is pure spiritual. There is no matter in it. Mahamaya is the potency where this material world is based on. That is Shri Durga Devi. Durga Devi is in charge. So that's why Durga means like a castle. So this material world is like a castle in which unfortunately the conditioned living entities are, because the living entities have their own desires. So basically what the Lord is doing is, He's just allowing the living entities to live the way they want to live, right? So if I have material desires, I cannot be in the spiritual world. I need to be in the material world because I have material desires. If I have spiritual desires, I'll be in the spiritual world. I'll be with the Lord always. The external will not matter. It's kind of amazing that way.
But sometimes even when we have the knowledge, still we are not able to implement those things in life practically. Like very small example is, we know that it's very good to wake up early. But it's very hard. Then how do we control our mind that now it's time to wake up?
No, it has to. This is what Krishna here says. In this particular verse, Shanai Shanai. He says Shanai Shanai, right? Gradually, step by step. That's why that particular verse in 25 he uses that word, right? So it is a gradual thing. It's not that suddenly, as they say, Rome was not built in a day.
We are trying 8 to 5, not slow.
No, then sleep early, right?
No, even
Yeah,
when
sleep
sometimes
early,
we sleep early
deep
still.
sleep. Somehow or other we should get deep sleep. If we get good deep sleep,
Now big thing
then,
for everyone.
but that's not easy. I think
This is
getting deep
the
sleep is
main
not easy.
reason that deep sleep is very hard to get.
Yes, yeah. So even if you get 2 or 3 hours deep sleep, that's enough actually. But what is happening is, we are lying down in the bed for 8 or 9 hours or something, but
We
the
are
deep
not
sleep is probably 1 hour of it, or even less than that.
20 minutes sometimes. There's a sleep tracker in the smartwatches.
Yes, it shows it. It shows, isn't
The
it?
deep sleep state is just 20
Yeah.
minutes or 30 minutes like that.
Yeah, if we have more time deep sleep, then
Then
immediately we
more
woke
rest.
up.
Yeah, then total rest is, the body gets the rest.
disturbances.
Yeah.
No, but we
Then
can't
we refresh.
decide. How can we decide that we are going to get 2 hours of deep sleep? How can I decide, like, for example?
We cannot decide, but it depends on how,
Peaceful.
at the end of the day, when do we get deep sleep? That is a main important question. We get deep sleep when the mind stops working.
How to stop the mind
No,
before
no.
sleeping? How can I,
Because
like?
you are
No.
continuously
What I'm
thinking
saying here is, a person who is a yogi,
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
a person who is a yogi knows how to make the mind silent.
Yeah.
Right? So it's quite interesting, So one of the things about deep sleep is a very interesting state of existence, right? Everything is existing, but we do not know that it is existing, isn't it? Like dream is also quite similar, but in dream, there are dream that is happening,
Mind is still
and the mind is still working.
fully.
So this is the thing, So in deep sleep, if a person is a yogi, they know how to silence the mind, and when they can silence the mind, immediately they can get deep sleep, right? Because that is what happens when we are in the deep sleep. The mind is totally silenced; it's not doing anything.
So my mind needs to be at peace, and there shouldn't be anything going in the subconscious mind as
Yes, yeah.
Before sleeping,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
or the whole day.
Mhm.
Or it can be the whole day.
At least before sleep.
Before sleeping, yeah.
At least.
Before sleeping, exactly.
That's
But we
why
are
they say-
until running and just going and sleeping.
Yeah.
It's not possible. No.
well. We need to, I think, meditate before sleeping.
Or read the spiritual book.
Everything planned, not only immediately.
Yeah.
It won't.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they say,
Yeah.
don't sleep immediately after eating, or don't use mobile 1 hour.
Yes.
before
Yeah, we are
sleeping.
not following one thing
Because
also.
mind is not at rest
That's right.
in these
That's right.
situations.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's hard to follow. Even in
Yeah.
the morning, they say don't use mobile.
Slowly finish dinner, take some rest, something.
The thing is,
something,
there is
step
no
by
head-
step.
There is no headmaster with a stick that we have to follow these rules.
Yeah.
If someone
we have to
do
be our
that,
own
fight
headmaster.
only happen.
I've been engaged in discussion.
No, but slowly it can be done.
Yeah, step by step.
Like if it is just 15 minutes or something, decrease by 15 minutes and then again decrease by 15 minutes. Like that you can do.
We need to give ourselves a challenge or a task, or
Yes.
we can do it for each other
Yeah.
in the family.
Plan 20 days everyday travel.
Even the food.
Make ourselves very tired kind of thing, is it? Yeah, if you're very tired,
If
you can
we
get
want to
deep
go
sleep.
out now, we immediately get ready.
Yeah.
If some work is there important, then we will do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like on weekends we know that okay, it's holiday, so we won't get up from the bed that early. If we know we have
First
to go to
decide
office,
before sleep.
It's okay, because we are all at different stages in terms of the spiritual journey. But the important thing is, after getting up, where the mind is. That is an important aspect as well. Are we able to? Is the mind able to get absorbed in remembering the Lord? So that is very important thing, really, because that is the goal of human form of life. Right?
We
So
need to learn from the mistakes, but we are not doing.
that is
If
another
we
thing,
are
yeah.
not wake up early, now what is happening? What
Yes.
is we are losing?
Exactly, yeah.
If
That's
then-
that's another thing. Yes.
Yeah, but that also we know, but we don't follow. Very big mistakes will happen
Yes, yeah.
because of time.
Yes.
Everything.
Trying to
is,
hurry up things. Huh?
Yeah,
like all the tasks will be done as it is, and all the time that is required will be given, but only the time where we compromise is in the temple.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. Again, at the end of the day, this is the thing. The prioritization. What is the priority that we have? If we are totally attached to sense gratification, then unfortunately the priority will only be sense gratification. Nothing else will be the priority. But if we know that, yes, knowing my eternal nature is equally important or more important than just continuing to be in the sense gratificatory state, then we will prioritize our understanding of getting established in the self, and getting established in the self is something that we all are actually. It is not. That's why it's called self-realization. Why is it? Realization means we are already that. We just need to realize it. Tattvamasi. There is a Veda Vakya which says, "Thou art that." It means we are always in an eternal situation, eternally connected with Krishna. The only thing is to realize it, that we are. That's why when someone is in a very spiritual state of existence, they always see everyone as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. They won't distinguish, that this is a good person, this is a bad person. No, because that's all at the end of the day an external thing. Like if we start distinguishing people on the basis of their cloth, of course in the material world that does happen, right? Someone is wearing a luxurious cloth and someone is not wearing a luxurious cloth, and you'll say, oh, this is a very rich person, this is a poor person. Kind of thing.
So is it true that they say richness attracts richness? Like if you are being and thinking to be rich, good things will come to you. You will give a penny to a beggar, but if you're going to a rich person's house, you will take some nice gifts. But although they don't need it, they are
Yes.
already rich.
That's right. Yeah. They talk in this what is it called, in the manifestation kind of thing. They talk about you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. That's what they say. So there is a big difference, right? When we want to say I want this, I want that, that means we are in a state of lack. So we have to say that I am this, and get to that aspect of me, which the version of me which has this, and link with that version. Then automatically things will. That is what they say in the manifestation kind of thing.
So is it like also linked with spirituality, or it's totally different? It's only
We can-
materialistic.
We can link it to spirituality in a way that we can use this
Manifestation
in terms
for
of remembering the Lord.
Lord.
Right? So I want to get to my version which is always remembering the Lord. So then I am always remembering a lot. If we just have that attitude, then there will come a time when we'll always remember a lot. It's like it's a catch-22 situation. But it's a catch-22 situation. What happens is the repetition, they say. When we are repeating something, it is getting established in the subconscious mind. And then the nature of the subconscious mind is that it brings things to reality. That's what they say. It is powerful. Subconscious mind is very powerful. Because what they say is subconscious mind can only accept things. It doesn't do anything else. So what happens is someone is in a bad state and then they keep looking at their bad. They might have something good. Everyone can find some good thing within all the bad things. So if they focus on that good thing and keep focusing on that good thing, the subconscious is accepting only the good thing. But what happens is if there is lots of bad things happening, unfortunately it's a catch-22 situation again. One keeps thinking that only bad things happen to me. Then what is subconscious doing is it only accepts, it seems. It doesn't reject anything.
The person is never happy.
Yes, yeah. They have a term in English. They self-declared negativity. Self-proclaimed negativity. So unfortunately it goes into that state. But it's not easy. It's easier said than done. Because if someone is experiencing bad things in their life, what will happen is they will always start thinking that, oh, this bad is happening, these bad things will happen. So what is happening is the subconscious is getting impressed with that. So that cycle unfortunately will continue. But what they have to do is they have to try and find one good thing that is also happening. And concentrate on that good thing rather than all the bad things that has happened. But it's difficult to do. It's not easy. Because the mind kind of focuses on, this is the thing, that's why they talk about gratitude journals and things like that, in the coaching world and all, they talk about that. Why they talk about that is, when we have that gratitude and all, we are always focusing on the positivity. And when we are focusing on the positivity, the subconscious mind is accepting the positivity. And then it keeps bringing the positivity. And this is the power of repetition as well. Mantra, when we talk about mantra. What is mantra doing? We are our subconscious mind is getting full of, saturated with the mantra. And then that is getting, the same thing is coming out. Because we are saturated with that. It's kind of, this conscious and subconscious mind, it's kind of very interesting that way. Because conscious mind can actually accept or reject things. But subconscious mind only accepts things. It doesn't reject anything. So that way it's kind of interesting,
So if we have to take out something from the subconscious mind that is negative,
we have to keep focusing on the positives. That's why the gratitude journal and things like that, they say.
Positive attracts positive.
Yes.
So will it be replaced with the negative things?
Yes, the negatives will start going away.
Okay.
Because we are focusing only on the positive. We are not focusing on the negative. There's this guy called Wayne Dyer. He's a very kind of manifestation kind of person and all. He has got a very simple quote. He says that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's a very simple statement, but it's got a very deep meaning in it. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So someone is having negative experiences, but they try to find one small positive thing in that. Then they are changing the way they are looking at things, and therefore the things that they are looking at will change. Say any situation, any situation, you can look at it from a positive perspective or you can look at it from a negative perspective. And the perspective that we look at it from defines our personality, literally. And then that's the vibrations that we are sending to the universe. And then the universe returns back that vibration to us.
So that's how some people are very, very confident about their personalities and they just don't care about what others might think.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some people are like, they always keep thinking, oh, this person might think that about me.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
They may judge me for this and
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. But of course, there is this type of personality where narcissist, I think we mentioned it last time as well, that someone who might think that their way is the only way kind of thing, They are the narcissist personalities, unfortunately. So in that case, what will happen is they will not work well with other people. Because their thought process would be that what I think is the only way and no other way will work. So I think that is another extreme. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Praladadadaine.
Praladadadaine.
Hiranyakashipurvakshaha.
Hiranyakashipurvakshaha.
Shilatankhanathalaye.
Shilatankhanathalaye.
Hito nasimho parato nasimho.
Hito nasimho parato nasimho.
Yato yato yami tato nasimho.
Yato yato yami tato nasimho.
Bahir nasimho hridaye nasimho.
Bahir nasimho hridaye nasimho.
Narasimhamadim sharanam prapate.
Narasimhamadim sharanam prapade.
Taukarakamalavare natham adbhuta shringa. Dalita hiranyakashipu tano brinda. Keshavadhrita narahari rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare.
Tava Karamala-vare nakham adbhuta shringam. Dalita hiranyakashipo tanu bringam. Keshavadhrita narahari rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare.
Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev.
Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev.
Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari.
Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari Jaya Narahari.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad.
Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad.
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय,
जय।
प्रहलाद महाराज की जय।
जय।
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु कृष्णे मतिरस्तु हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna.